moving on to question 3, which is costs. So is it cost effective for businesses to use a PR marketing agency versus employing an in-house team? Andy?
Yes, I think it's a splendid idea and everyone should do it. I think it's that point, isn't it, of, I guess, as with any other business, of scale and critical mass. I think, as we've already said, you could get an agency in on a project to give you an injection of media and hopefully, a rush of sales on the back of it. But there will reach a point probably where, where you can afford to employ an in-house team. And I think this is where it kind of moves into being, part of the relationship with the PR agency. So we kind of didn't touch on this before, but one of the things that a PR agency can do is give you instant creativity. So sometimes when you've got your own business, you're so close to it, you can't see, what actually is the thing that you should be shouting about. And sometimes you just don't have time to do that. Whereas an agency, you give them a brief, that takes you half an hour to bang something out. Most of the briefs that we get, back of a fag packet job, they kind of give you a brief and then you're coming back to them with a whole raft of creativity, which I think is the added value. 90% of that gets stolen and used anyway, and we don't charge. But anyway, so I think that's where we can kind of add value. And again, we have relationships across every sector. So say for example, a widget company wants to go from its usual sort of consumer lifestyle push media background. Actually, they want to go into, trade, B2B coverage. Now, in-house, someone's got to take that time to research the journos, who to stalk, how to mither them via a media database. Well, we have those relationships set up and ready to go. So again, it's a very quick process. And I think that's what it's about. It's about working in partnership and, and also the fact, we can hopefully facilitate the relationships where, in the end of it, they probably won't need a PR agency because we've introduced them to all the people that they need to talk to.
Penny, you obviously use both. You are the in-house and you use agencies. What's your thoughts on costs?
We used an agency for the first sort of 5 years of the business. But we grew so fast and now have so many products that, about a year ago we thought, right, we need to bring this in-house. I found that it was almost a full-time job updating the PR agency on product dates when things were launching, because they do change quite a lot. And we had such a full product range that it was almost taking up so much of my time to manage the agency that I was like, do you know what, I really need somebody here. I can't keep doing this all the time. So we bought PR in-house, but we do it with a freelance, Claire, who sat in the audience, and she's in 2 days a week. So I think it's very much, we're looking at this as like, use an agency or bring an in-house team, where there are sort of middle ground as well. We've bought Claire and she's in 2 days a week. So she's and the bits in between I take care of. It's not one or the other. There are alternatives, and we'd still use agencies for launches and that sort of thing, but it means we've got somebody taking care of it who's always up to date, who always knows what's going on. I think there are sort of middle ground as well. It's not one versus the other. You can do both. Budget-wise, it's expensive using an agency, but if you're doing it on a short term and you've got that return, then it's worth that money.
Your best one, I think, my favourite one you've done is the Night at the Museum spoof, which I don't know if you've seen. Is like one of the Trunkisaurus, who comes alive in Bristol Museum, and the museum security guard finds him, but the security guard is a 5-year-old boy, and it's filmed in the style. Did you do that yourself?
Yeah, that's one of the other points
agency to do that.
I was going to make, actually. About a year ago, we put our PR out to pitch. We got a load of new agencies in because we thought, we've worked with the same agency for 5 years. We invited them back as well. We just said we just wanted some fresh ideas. But actually, as a design house, we're a really creative team, and we had some really great agencies who work in the nursery and toy industry, and some really big agencies as well. And actually, their ideas were great, but it wasn't anything we hadn't thought of ourselves. And we were like, do you know what, I've thought of that. And we thought we could do a better job of it, or the same job of it ourselves. And the dinosaur viral we took care of, Bristol Museum Let's Film, we did it very much on a budget. I can guarantee it cost a lot less than it looks. It looks like a really high-end, it's a HD film, and it looks amazing. We're really pleased with it. But it was done on a very tight budget. So it depends. It's different companies, but if you've got a really creative team, use that. You'd be stupid not to.
Sharon, you're in-house, so again, the same question, the cost effectiveness of
yeah,
both?
We're both. So we have an agency, and we obviously have a few agencies. We have one for PR and then in-house as well. But when I said it earlier, I'm just a big fan of making sure you grow talent in-house, because that's your core. You need that. The way we do it is when we work with an agency, we have them on a retainer and they do one project a month. Anything else that comes up, we have new launches, I'll always throw it out to them so they can come back with ideas and push to see what, so if they can come up with anything better than our in-house team. And then we go from there. And actually, when I do that, they never come back with it. Like you said, they've never ever came back with anything that my team hasn't come up with, or in fact, sometimes not even as good. Yeah. But, it's like pulling on a pool, a larger pool than you have. So that's why it's really valuable, because it's like a bigger creative team. But I think I would always have both, actually. Because it certainly works for us as a brand, besides our company. Yeah, but it doesn't. Sorry, but yeah, I guess the other thing to think about with agencies is, it depends who you get. It doesn't actually have to be as expensive as you think. So it's definitely worth looking at an agency versus in-house. But if it were my choice, I would have both.
Sharon, how do you? Laura. How do you, in terms of costs, you could have a big brand that's got a load of budget and then a little startup that wants to work with you. So how, I guess you have, you don't have set prices, you sort of talk to them. No. How do you deal with
Not
the cost
at all. And I think
issue?
Social media as well isn't kind of an off-the-shelf thing. So what you were saying about the different size companies. So if we were working with a big brand, the scale of what we were doing might be very different to something we were doing with a small brand. So when Nike come to us, then we might decide to do a big stunt with them that has a social element or uses one of the social networks as well. So that's where it kind of crosses over to PR, and then we would then do all the PR around that as well. So speak to the journalists, and we'd get press coverage for that, but it would be social and PR and publicity stunt as well. So there's a lot of crossover. Whereas, say, if we were working with a small business who they might just want social media training. So it scales all the way down. It could be that we do a morning's training session with them, or there's a couple of people in the team who are going to be managing the social. So we might spend some time with them. We also run Twitter accounts on behalf of clients, not in the sense of saying, the day-to-day, although we do that. It forms part of a campaign, it's thought out, it's a strategy, and we'll be running different things during that. So whether that's competitions that are involving people, or again, it's part of that other marketing activity we kind of plug in. So it's whatever level really the business is at. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an enormous company that we were running the Twitter account for. I mean, one of our clients called Player 2, who are a small video gaming website, which is just run by one guy, but he's not interested in social and he doesn't want to do it himself, and he doesn't want to run he's got his own Twitter account, but he doesn't want to run the company's Twitter account. So he outsources that to us, and we just do their updates and also plug into all of the PR strategy we do for him. So it works on a big scale, depending on what people want and also how much they want, because it could be one project or it could be that we're retained, for a 6-month campaign. It really depends.